Kieran here from KJH Woodworking. Welcome back to the channel. With Christmas just around the corner, it's time to start thinking about Christmas gifts for your family, friends, and loved ones. Today, we're gonna smash out 3 relatively simple Christmas gifts. If you stick around to the end, there might be a bonus. Let's go. While we get stuck into this build, go ahead and smash that like button because that helps us spread to more people like you and really helps us grow as a channel, which we are greatly appreciative for. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the fun, and smash that notification bell so you're notified every time we upload a new video to YouTube. Cheers guys, enjoy the video. Okay, let's get stuck into our first item, the book holder. This one's a nice, easy project. We're just gonna take a whole heap of cut up different bits of timber, and then we will glue it all together with a slot in the middle that allows us to slide a shelf in, and it'll be a nice, easy build. So we've gone ahead and pre-cut all of our components. Let's glue those up. So we're just gonna lay everything out how we want it. Whoops, that's the wrong part. And how this is designed to work is this part slots in here. So when we do our glue up, we're gonna clamp it in place and then pull it out after the glue's gone tacky. So I'm just gonna take some packaging tape and just tape this up so that this doesn't end up sticking to everything around it. We'll let that dry for about half an hour. We're gonna pull the block out then and clean up all the glue. And then while we let this finish setting, we'll work on the shelf. Okay, so we've allowed that to go a little bit tacky, so we should be able to slide this board out. Just gonna loosen those clamps off ever so slightly. Slide that board out. We're gonna slide this out of the way while we work on the shelf. So we'll get rid of that packaging tape. Beautiful. Now to make the shelf, all we're gonna do is take 2 45mm cuts like so. So we're gonna wrap that front section around, giving us a ledge for the book. So we'll jump to the table saw and do that. So we're gonna set our blade to 45, double check it. After a quick little sand, you're left with 2 parts with a 45 that when glued together, make a shelf for the book. To glue these up, I'm just gonna use some tape. We're gonna put the tape flat on the table, stick the first piece to that tape, and then line up the points of the miter, push that down, fill this with glue. Now, because we're gluing end grain, I like to fill it with glue, wait 5 minutes, fill it with glue again to make sure we get a nice strong bond. Now when that all soaks in, we'll come back, re-glue it, and then we will tape it up and clamp it tight. Now for ease of cleanup, we are just gonna put some blue painter's tape on the edge of the internal edge of the miter, so that any glue squeeze out goes on that and we don't have to continue sanding, because that 2 seconds is so much easier than sanding that joint. So I don't know if you can see this. See how the glue's really soaked into this end grain? That's why we leave it. Now this will not soak in as much, giving us a much stronger bond. Now to get this nice and tight, we are just gonna take a whole heap of painter's tape, and the painter's tape effectively becomes the clamp. You can see that miter there, nice and close together. Now to put more pressure on that miter, what we're gonna do is wrap a bit of painter's tape around the middle, which will effectively pull those in, putting tighter pressure on the joint. Now we'll leave that dry. So that is the effect we're going for. Let's jump over the table saw, cut it to final dimension. We're also going to cut a 15-degree cut along the bottom so that it sits hard on the ground, or hard on the bench, I should say. Then we'll sand it up, get it ready for finish. And that is how you make a book stand. This one will probably live in our kitchen with a cooking book on it. We are going to finish all of the gifts at the end in 2 different methods, so stick around for that. But let's get stuck into gift idea number 2, a charcuterie board. Now let's get on to gift item 2, the charcuterie board. This is going to use one of the blanks that we glued up before, but I like to make a template for everything that I make when it comes to charcuterie boards or serving trays or anything like that. 2 reasons. I like to design it on a computer, making everything consistent and accurate. Then I can print it out on an A4 printer. Then I can use some brown adhesive and glue it to a bit of 3mm MDF. And the other reason I love to do it is because if I bugger up 3mm MDF, this is cheap. Where your board is time and money. Let's go ahead and make our template. These templates will be available in the description below. Oh no! I stuck it in the wrong spot.
That's so silly.
It is very silly. I'm in the yellow zone because I stuck it in the wrong spot. Now we got the template stuck on the MDF. We're just going to cut that out and use a sander to shape it to the shape that we want. Then we will use a flush trim router bit to trim it onto our charcuterie board. So after we get that all sanded, we're left with a template, which we can then line up. I like to line it up as close as possible to 2 reference edges. Just reduces the amount of flush trimming you have to do. Take a pencil, trace around it. Now we just take a jigsaw, cut out the bulk of our waste, getting as close as possible to the line. So then we can flush trim it using a flush trim bit, which has a bearing on the top. So the bearing will ride along the template we've made, taking out all the waste of the board, allowing us to match that pattern with ease. Now what we're going to do is take some blue painter's tape, CA glue and activator, and glue our template to our blank. Now that has adhered. We're actually going to do this in 2 passes simply because I have a much better quality shallow flush trim bit, but you could do this in 1 pass if you had a good quality long depth flush trim bit. Let's get stuck in. Now that we've finished flush trimming, we've swapped out to a round over bit. We're going to go ahead and give the whole board a nice round over on the perimeter on both sides. We're going to go ahead and sand the board now, starting at about 80 grit, working our way up to 180 grit. Then we're going to go ahead and water pop the board, which is effectively lightly wetting the top surface of the board, which causes the fibers in the wood to pop up and go furry. Then we're going to sand that off again and finish at about 240 grit. If you skip this step, the first time the board gets washed, you will get a furry, fuzzy feeling on it, leaving what would feel like a poorly or unsanded cutting board. And that is how you make a charcuterie board. The benefit of using the template is I still have the template. If I wanted to make another one or another 10 of these, I could use the same template and get it pretty much exactly the same. Now, let's get stuck into gift idea number 3, a serving board. This is going to be a pretty small serving board, but the idea will be to have a ramekin in the middle for a dip and then 4 dish-shaped holes, I should say, in the tray for chips or other bits and pieces. Let's get stuck in. So I've gone ahead and made a template. This time I cheated and used my laser cutter. So if you've got a laser cutter, I'll leave a link to these files in the description below where you can just download, cut these out yourself, or you can download the paper-based copy where you can print it out and make the template the exact same way we made it for the charcuterie board. Just the same as before, we're going to mark this out, cut out the waste. We are not going to cut out the center components because we're not going to cut those all the way through, but we'll cut off the corners. I'm actually going to do that on a miter saw because it'll be nice, quick and easy, just using 45-degree angles. Now we're going to follow the same process for the outside as we did with the charcuterie board, but how we do the center tray components will be slightly different. Now for the perimeter, we're going to follow the exact same process as before, but for the inside, we're going to use this specifically designed ball and tray bit, which has the same bearing, so it'll run along the pattern, but it has a rounded corners, which is going to leave a much nicer finish on the inside of the tray. The beautiful thing about the laser cutter is it leaves the offcuts, which can be placed inside the cutouts to support your router to stop it from tilting left or right. If you're not using a laser, you could just cut some scrap to fit into those holes. So we're going to follow the exact same process here. Flush trim the outsides, give it a nice round over. Then we're going to do a lot of sanding, followed by the water popping and sanding some more. And that is how you make a serving tray for a ramekin with 4 components. Now time for finishing. Just kidding, bonus round. We're going to take 2 of the offcuts and make a phone holder. Phone holder is going to be very similar to the bookcase. It's effectively going to be a piece of timber like so, and this notches inside to hold your phone. We'll start by cutting a 16-degree angle on one of the blanks. So we've got 90mm wide, 16-degree angle. One's going to be, just download the plans in the description below. Helps support the channel and keeps content like this coming. Now we're going to mark everything out according to our plan. Now we're going to drill that out we'll drill this hole out on the drill press, cut these out on the table saw, and then we can assemble. We're going to go ahead and give it a quick round over, but you just want to make sure that you don't round over this part here. So I've gone ahead and I've taken a marking knife and actually marked that reference, so I won't round over that because that'll look a bit silly. Everything else will round over. Okay, let's talk finishes. So both of the food products, which is the charcuterie board and the serving tray, we can use a food-safe mineral oil, which is going to soak it in there for 20 minutes. And then once it's finished, we will wipe off the excess, let it dry. 24 hours later, we'll come back and we'll buff it with a wax mineral oil paste. There's a homemade paste that we use. For the book holder and the phone holder, we can use a spray-on polyurethane in a clear satin. We don't want to use the mineral oil because that stays wet and it will actually soak into the pages and get on the phone. So we'll use the polyurethane for that, but it's not food safe. So mineral oil, polyurethane. Let's go. And that is how you smash out 4 relatively quick and easy Christmas gifts for this Christmas season. We have the charcuterie board, which looks fantastic. A pretty basic dip tray, which can be done with just a router. A quick and easy cookbook stand. Reality is you can put any book on it, but this one is going to sit in our kitchen and house one of our cookbooks, and a quick and easy phone holder that can sit on a desk and then looks quite nice, that has space for the cable to come up for charging. You can batch these out, make for a bunch of people, vary the designs, whatever works for you. These particular designs will be available in the description below, so check those out. And as always, thank you for watching. If you like content like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you got anything out of this video, smash that thumbs up. And we look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers, guys.